Before we begin, I want to thank you all for being here. I started this idea when I came back from my travel where I was abroad for about just over a year, maybe just a little bit before a year. And one of the things that came to me when I was meditating in Thailand actually was I noticed that there are a lot of men who are struggling, who want to have a connection like this with other guys, but we're just not getting that at the moment. And I genuinely think that in terms of male performance, male mental health, male mental things, the dialogue for us is men don't talk, men don't want to improve, men can't control their emotions. And I think that's bullshit. I think we do. We want to talk, but not the way you want us to. We want to learn, but there's things that we want to. We are in control, but maybe we don't demonstrate things the way you want us to. So, in my opinion, we are just different. And so we need to approach things differently too. And so my talk today is actually about aggression, because one of the main things with aggression is that it's stigmatized really badly. Toxic male, toxic masculinity, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we're gonna go through that. Who am I? My name's Phil. All of you guys basically know me, but I'm a high performance coach. I specialize working with men. Prior to this, I was working with high-level Olympic weightlifters. I've had some fighters work with me. I've had other high-performing individuals in their career work with me as well. So my thing is all about, look, I don't care whether you like it or not. If it works and serves your purpose, it's there for something. Okay? Even something that we think is bad could be good. Mike Tyson got fucked over in his life since young, but then he became the heavyweight champion of the world. If he didn't have those poor experiences that we wish upon no one, he wouldn't have the ability to be the world champion, the youngest heavyweight boxing champion the world has ever seen. Okay? So we like to label things bad, but it could be very useful. We never know. My own performance career, I suppose. I used to represent Australia in weightlifting, and I've had a few amateur kickboxing and Muay Thai fights. I'm pretty good at both. I'm undefeated in the striking world, and I've been defeated a few times in weightlifting, but for the most part, I beat most people in that sport too. And there's nothing special about me, in my opinion. Look at me, I might be leaner than most people, I'm not the biggest person, I'm not the fastest person, but what I have is I think about things a little bit differently than what other people like to think. And that's what I'm going to show you guys today, if my mouse works. Come on, guys. Don't do this to me now. On. Aha. Okay, so before I get into it, quick thing about the events coming up. I like to do this in the beginning, so at the end you're not like, oh, he's just going to sell us something. Yes, I am going to promote one of my events, but I'm going to do this and then we're going to get into all my other shit. So I have a men's high performance camp coming up in May 24 to 27. This is all about giving you one of the hardest experiences of your life so that in the future, when you're going through hard shit, you can think about your camp and be like, if I could get through that, I can get through anything, okay? Rough idea, you're training twice a day, you meditate at least once a day. I teach you everything, including that meditation, but 9 other meditations: mindset, movement, emotions, fear, loneliness, sadness, anger, and anxiety. I teach you how to use all of those to your benefit. Recently, I had Mike and I had Kenny, who finished a high performance camp, and I like to say that you guys had a great time, and you guys are still going and using the techniques right now, okay? That's the first one. If you want to talk about it at the end, just talk to me. And the second one is I have a new service coming up called High Performance Habits, or Building a Habit. Basically, for 8 weeks, in the first 4 weeks, I'm going to train with you twice a week in a group of 4. Okay, so I'm going to run with you. Then we're going to do kickboxing, and then you're going to meditate. Twice a week for the first 4 weeks, and then the second 4 weeks is just once a week. The whole idea behind this is I believe I can tell you all the shit in the world, but it never happens. So instead, I'm going to do it with you. You can't hide from me. You're going to do it with me. I will run with you. I will run the sessions. I will run the meditation. And at the end of it, you have all that evidence in your pocket. And then you join my aftercare program, which is where you join Kenny, Mike, anyone else I coach. And we're going to have monthly events where we train together, keep the community alive, and you won't ever drop off. That's my goal. I want you guys to come, learn, develop habits, and never ever drop off. Because that's what we're here for, right? We never ever want to drop off. Okay, so those are the two things. That's my plug. Let's move on. So, like I said, my background is in performance. I don't care how people label things. If there's a use for it in your life, it's useful. That's it. So everything I teach is about performance. And if I have it, if it's going to work for something, I'm going to figure out a way to make it work for me. Okay? So, what I want you guys to think about in this, or in your life anyway, is how can I use this to move myself forward? Okay? As bad as it might sound, as painful as it might be, how can I use this to move myself forward to be a better person? That's all I think about. Okay, so what is aggression? The Oxford Dictionary says it's feelings of anger, blah, 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 resulting in hostile or violent behavior, a readiness to attack or confront. Look, confrontation needs two people, right? Needs two people. So if it needs two people, then you can't have a confrontation if the other person's not aggressive too. I can come to you with something in aggressive behavior, but if like Gary just shrinks away, where's the confrontation? So it takes two people, right? So if somebody's being aggressive towards you, and I shrink away, there's no confrontation. But if I don't shrink away, then there is confrontation. But then the question we have to ask ourselves is, why is that a bad thing? Like, is confrontation a bad thing? Depends on the context. If you're in a relationship and you have to have a confrontation with your misso, or boyfriend, I don't know. Depends on you guys. If you have to have a confrontation, why is that a bad thing? It's a bad thing if it moves you guys nowhere. But it's a good thing if it gets you closer to the relationship that you want. And in order to have a confrontation, at some level, you need to have aggression. Because they're going to come at you hard, so you need something too. Right? So, first of all, aggression is blank. We decide whether it's good or bad, depending on the context. What do you think this graph represents? Yeah, nuclear weapons. So, it's nuclear weapons. The reason I had this here is fucking everyone talks about aggression being bad and violence, blah, blah, blah. Where's it come from mainly? Western media. Who's got the second most WMDs? The United States. And then you have Russia, and then you have China. Okay? I put this up here because in order to keep the peace, you need to be able to harm. And they understand this. If you have a gun and they have a gun, you're less likely to shoot each other out. If I have a gun, you don't have a gun, there's a power imbalance. And it's up to me whether I want to use that force, right? So, although people say, don't be violent, don't be aggressive, blah, 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 that's not what the countries are doing. That's not what the guys at the top are doing, because they understand that aggression is very necessary in order to protect yourself. Do we all understand that? Right, cool. So, the second reason I wanted to show this graph is because there's this ancient saying by some Asians, and I say Asians because the Japanese apparently said it, the Chinese said it. Let's not get territorial. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Okay? War is all around us, still. If North Korea didn't have bombs, Iran didn't have bombs, you never know what the other countries might do. That's why they have it. In evolutionary biology, every single culture that was behind in weapons got completely dominated, taken over. So, example, the Native Americans came over, I think Spanish or something, went over, they had guns, taken over. What happened to the indigenous over here? We had the Europeans, they had better weapons and diseases, taken over. In every single plot line in history, the country or the region that has more weapons, like the Mongolians could ride horseback and shoot arrows, they dominated everyone else. So the history shows us that if you do not have the ability to fight back, you will get taken over. And even in culture, aggressive cultures, by value standards, will take over other cultures. You might have peace-loving cultures that don't want to confront ways of peace. They get taken over. Okay? Aggression is very, very important if you want to prevent that. So what's our current belief about aggression? We have it's dangerous, it hurts people, only bad people are aggressive, and it's a toxic emotion that should be removed. Have we all heard this? Something like that? Cool. Is it dangerous? Yes, it is. But why do we need to be dangerous sometimes? Somebody attacks us, our family, protection, right? It hurts people. Yes. So why do we want to hurt people sometimes? Because they're hurting us. We've got to protect ourselves. Number 3, only bad people are aggressive, right? Are they? Not really. Like Obama bombed people with drones. Obama did that. Trump does that too. Other people do that too. Our own government does stuff like this. So just because people say it is, we've got to ditch that shit. We need it. And it's a toxic emotion that should be removed. When you label something toxic, we think there's something wrong with us. Is there? If we have something from an evolutionary biology point of view, right? If we are the most intelligent species on Earth, why would we have something within us that is automatically toxic? That doesn't make sense. We are like 5 million years old as a species. We are literally the descendants of generations and generations and generations of humans. You, me, everyone, we are the biological combination, the DNA of like 5 million years of history. How could we have something from evolution standpoint that's automatically bad for us? We can't. We needed it for a reason. It's there for survival. It's there for something. So the question we need to ask is, how is aggression going to help us? How do we use aggression to help us? To do the things, to protect our family, to protect your loved ones, to excel in your career, to perform better as a sports person, to perform better as a business person. How do we use it? So, here's some ways that aggression comes up, okay? 1, our physical boundaries are crossed. This is so biologically hardwired that if I came and pushed you right now, even if you knew that I'm going to do that to you and you like me and you trust me, even if I did it to you really hard, you will feel something in here. That's visceral response, like, what the fuck's going on? You feel that, right? That's when your physical boundaries are crossed. You might feel that if the physical boundaries of your loved ones are crossed. Your girlfriend, your wife, your mother, your father, people with children. You feel that. You see someone push your kid. Viscerally, you cannot control this feeling. You might think, oh, I'm aggressive. But by the time you're thinking about it, you already have it. Yeah? Our mental and social boundaries are crossed. Mental being our ideas, right? We might hold some sort of idea about our ego, about how we see the world. I might believe that everyone should do good to each other. And then you say, no. I might be like, what the fuck? This person is contradicting my values. Then you might feel something there. How many times have we seen someone say, you're being an oppressive person because you believe X, Y, Z? It's like you've attacked them. They're so aggressive towards you, right? We might be on the receiving end of verbal aggression. Somebody yells at you. What happens to you? You get that feeling. Somebody yells at you, your mum, when you were young, but you don't want to speak back because you don't want to be rude. Or someone on the street, someone driving, someone beeping at you, right? Someone beeps at you, what do? Automatically, before you even check out what's happening, you think, what the fuck? Who's doing that? Might be when you are afraid, but this comes a bit after. I'll get into that a bit later. When you're threatened, and also when you have no other choice. Like sometimes, I've been sparring for a long time, you spar someone, and in the beginning they might be really soft, but you get them into a corner and you just wail on them for a bit, and then something happens, they click a switch, and then the monster comes out, right? So everyone has this circuitry inside them for a reason. So, what do we use it for? How can it benefit us? Aggression can be violent and harmful, yes, but that's not always a bad thing. Aggression can also be the emotion you need to protect your house when your loved ones are getting attacked. Somebody comes into your house, you don't think about, oh, am I being aggressive? No, you just go and fight the robber. Or you grab your family and you guys run, right? You need that. It's there for something. In a performance setting, if I have somebody who's terrified of doing something, like if you want to go into a fight, you want to compete in a fight, and you're terrified, the number one thing, the number one antidote to fear is aggression. If you don't have aggression, you won't do the thing you're scared of. Because it's very hard to do both at the same time. Incredibly hard. And I'm going to teach you how to do that in a sec. Okay, and like I said, the difference between good and bad is whether it serves you. Serves you, serves your community, and whether it serves the society. Got it? Any questions? None. Any examples you guys want to give? Any stories that relate to what I've been talking about?
Well, I think this is what I've learned from camp is what you said, the antidote to fear is aggression. And that's something I apply to my athletes for the past 2 weeks is they're lifting a weight, something that they haven't done before. I told them to shout and scream out. That's show aggression. They were able to do it. And they're like, yeah, for the first time I didn't think about anything, there was no thought, no doubts. They just went for it and it happened. They felt very confident afterwards.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was really mind-opening.
Yeah. Amazing, right? When you're coaching someone, whether it be in performance, blah, 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 life, whatever, if somebody's scared, remember you're not coaching a mind, you're coaching a human. And fear comes from in here. So what you got to address is in here. You can give anyone the logic to do something. If you don't do this, your life's not going to be better, blah, 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 blah. But this makes sense. This don't make sense. This needs to be treated as an illogical thing. And if I can teach you how to be aggressive, then anytime you feel fear, you're going to be able to overcome it. Huh? Yeah.
Is there such a thing as use of aggression?
Of course, yes. So if you're aggressive all the time, then that's when it will burn the people around you. People won't want to be around you anymore because you're always angry, you're always pushing. And I'm going to explain what that is in here. So in terms of why aggression is important, okay, you have person A, person B. This is the aggression, right? Aggression. Then you have their personal boundaries. It could be physical, could be social, could be mental. This, if you have two people meeting in the middle, that's what you get. You get tension, right? If I'm going to Gary, I wanna say I disagree with Gary, right? Gary believes that macronutrients are the only way to lose weight. I'm saying you can do flexible eating, intuitive eating, and then Gary says no, it's the only way, right? He's exerting his verbal, somewhat aggressive, like his opinion. And then if I go, oh yeah, I can see what you mean. What's happening? I'm moving backwards. But there's no tension. Oh yeah, no tension. But if I say to Gary, no, I believe that flexible, like intuitive eating is the way to go. Now we meet in the middle. Then you have this. Then you're just kind of like staring at each other like, oh. But when people talk about boundary setting, that's the boundary. You need a bit of aggression in order to protect yourself because otherwise they just keep pushing. Why is that a good thing? One, you stand up for yourself. Why is that a bad thing? If you have a person who's very feeble and you keep pushing, eventually either they have no sense of disagreement with you, they're always going to agree with you, or they just disappear. And you see this all the time in relationships. Male-female dynamic. It's not skewed towards any sex, but if there's one partner who's more dominant and aggressive, and there's one partner that's weak, eventually the weaker one will just say, well, what's the point of me saying anything to you? You're going to push back anyway. No point. So they become a pushover, or they just leave. They just disappear, right? And then only after they disappear, the guy's like, what did I do wrong? Or like, you're like, what did I do wrong? Because sometimes this is what happens.
Is the tension going to cause breakup, eventually bad, is good?
Well, that's, again, it depends on what you want. So if you want to come to an outcome that requires tension, like a disagreement, whatever happens, you have to accept that. You know, like if your whole life you're just minimizing tension in your life, that could be very smooth for you, but if you want to fight for something and push for something, it might not work.
So is it like trying to figure out what's worth being aggressive about?
Yeah. Yeah, like you fight the battle, you lose the war, or you lose the battle, you win the war, right? In relationships, there are times, for example, a classic one would be, how involved do you want to be with your own family? Like with your wife, with your husband. Maybe the disagreement is, my parents, I would like to spend once a week with my kids with the parents. That's maybe what you want. And she goes, no, I don't want that. Once a month is enough. Then you have the opportunity to have the discussion, which requires some tension, right? And then maybe at the end of it, you come to a compromise where they're like, okay, how about we do once a fortnight? Maybe. But if you don't have that conversation and just be like, oh, okay, then you will never feel good about your decision making, because you didn't put your foot forward. In a competition, okay, in a competition setting, if your opponent is aggressive and you're unable to meet that, especially in combat sports, you're gonna die. Like, you're gonna absolutely die. And I'm not saying aggressive as in you meet head to head, right? Because sometimes when you fight, you choose to be more elusive and you want to play against their aggression. But there's still a level of aggression in here. I'm just playing a different game. When I'm having verbal discussions with people, like me and Dave might have a disagreement, but I don't have to say, no, Dave, I disagree. I'm still going to set a boundary, but the way I do it might be different. Maybe Dave is going to push an idea onto me, and instead of saying to him, no, I disagree, I'm going to say, what makes you think that? Why don't you tell me more about that? And after he tells me all the reasons why he's doing what he's doing, I attack his beliefs. Okay? So, you know what I mean? I'm not, there's other ways of doing it, you know? And this is what I mean. You got a very aggressive person, you have a very unaggressive person. This person, in terms of standing up for themselves, may eventually get crushed. Yeah? Okay, so let's get to the fun part. How do we actually manifest aggression within myself? Aggression as the feeling. Okay, the fearless, I'm here to attack or defend, that feeling. Number one, voice projection. Very hard to be soft and yell at the same time. If you see me compete if you ever see high-level athletes compete in aggressive sports, they will yell. Because yelling stimulates some sort of receptor in your throat, and that seems to raise your heart rate. That seems to raise your aggression. And adrenaline too. Okay? So how do we voice project? One is you just yell, but the second thing is you want to yell from down here. So we call it belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. Look, you can call it whatever you want, but you want to be able to project your voice from here and loud. Okay? So for example, if you're listening on the video, you might want to turn your volume down. Okay, so when I'm going to yell, this is my normal speaking voice. But if I'm going to be aggressive and channel that, I come from down here and I'm like, ah! But I'm really getting, and even now I get that tingle up my spine, but I'm coming from here, and that voice itself, even you might have felt that. You might have felt something visceral when I did that, right? Because you received my aggression just now. Yeah? Cool. Number two, rapid breathing. When you breathe like that, quickly, you will feel some tingle go to the back of your neck and into your head. That's your nervous system stimulating. You're coming up. Your heart rate will go up. Everything in anxiety attacks, in aggression, in yelling, in anger, your heart rate will go up. So you don't have to wait for that to happen. You can make it happen yourself. Just breathe faster, like that. And then something will happen. Number three, you can listen to music. Easy. Listen to something aggressive, high BPM, preferably a bit dark, and you'll get something as well. Do all three at the same time, 100%. you'll get very aggressive. Okay, that's physical, yeah? Mentally, how do we do it? Number one, dark visualization. Okay, it's got to be dark. It's got to be something that you wouldn't want to see in real life. Okay? If the worse you can imagine something, the more aggression you might feel. So, if you have kids, I'm not saying we ever want this to happen, but imagine that some guy is coming over and trying to kidnap your kid. You imagine that, I guarantee you'll feel something in here. If you're engaged, you're married, imagine some guy tries to touch your girl, right? You feel something. I'm hyperprotective of like my friends. If I even see somebody touch my friend in a bad way, I get fucking aggressive, you know, like those are my homies, you know? Visualize. Number two, you already have dark memories. You have painful shit that happened to you. Use it. You might not like it, but if you can use it, then it becomes something useful. Mike Tyson thinks about the way he was bullied, his friends dying, and he brings it in the ring, and he's the most ferocious boxer we've ever seen. You can use it. Michael Jordan used to imagine everyone making fun of him when he was on the ring. And there's a documentary that says this exactly, like in The Last Dance. He talks about it. He visualizes people making fun of him. He recalls those memories, and he's the greatest basketball player of all time. Okay, so now we're going to do a quick practical exercise. You're going to close your eyes. You're going to visualize a memory that angered you or gave you something. And then you're going to focus on expanding that feeling. Okay, you're going to shift that awareness, your awareness to here. And once you feel something, at the same time, you're going to increase your breathing speed. Okay? Then you're going to start to feel something. We're going to do that for just about a minute. Everyone's going to do it. Okay, so you're going to close your eyes, think of something dark. When you start feeling something, focus on it and start breathing quicker. And go. Two and one. Okay, come back. Come back. Okay. So who felt something? You feel something? Yeah, you feel something? It's quite energizing, isn't it? It's like you get this pulsing feeling and you want to fucking go. Like you kind of get that feeling like I want to hit my pads again, I want to do some kickboxing. That's a good feeling if you use it in the right way. If you're struggling in a workout, at the end of the workout, and you're like dying, how you get through it is like that. It's not by thinking, oh, I can do this, I'm so strong. Not like that. How you get through it is you fucking start yelling, you start hating yourself, you start using this dark side of yourself. That's how you get through. Okay, now, everyone's got a taste of it. We want to know now, how do we minimize? In order to control something, it means we have the ability to turn on and we have the ability to turn off. People who avoid aggression, who think it's just inherently bad, they have the aggression problem. You understand what I'm saying? If you avoid aggression, you have an aggression problem. Because the moment it comes up, you have no idea how to deal with it. But for us, we can turn it on, we can turn it off. We know a little bit, nothing. We have control. It's like volume. Go up, you go down. So how do we do it? Physically, you slow down your breathing. Slow down your breathing. Number one, that'll force your normal baseline of your heart rate to calm down. Slow down. Number two, if available, okay, you can exert force in a safe setting. Kickboxing on a bag. But you're by yourself. What's the problem? Nothing. So after you do it for a minute, 2 minutes, Kenny, you've done 2 minutes of just striking a bag for a long time. How were you after? Were you tired? Did you feel more calm? Yeah. So aggression is a boost, huge boost of power. After you use it, you get a corresponding low. You get pretty tired. That's okay. Like, you're getting rid of it. If that doesn't work for you, that's fine. Go into the next one, which is you do the complete opposite. You breathe slow, but then you start to minimize your movements. Okay, so you can just start to slow down. Let your body, start with your body. I start to speak slowly. I'm in this position. This is the vibe you're going to get from me. I'm not rushing, I'm not pacing. I'm letting myself calm down. It's going to take a bit of time, but you'll feel it slowly come down. Okay, how do we do it mentally? It's hard to be aggressive when you're fearful, but it's also hard to, it's hard to be fearful when you're aggressive, but it's also hard to be aggressive when you're fearful. So, imagine something you're terrified of, like you're just so scared of. Me, spiders. Can't do it. Can't do it. No matter how hard I try, I can't do it. So if I'm really aggressive, I can just take the time to imagine the spider. Yeah?
Would you use another feeling like guilt over fear?
You can. Yeah. Anything that makes you feel weaker. Yeah. So you can do that. Imagine something that makes you feel guilty, so which is the second one, right? You can visualize the fear on someone's face when you're being aggressive. I don't have kids, but I've trained kids. I can imagine if you're a father and you watch your kid and you accidentally, uncontrollably yell at them and you see the fear in their eyes, like, oh my God, Daddy, I'm so sorry. That leaves you with something. Leaves you feeling guilty, like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to yell at my kid, but you did. So those memories, you can use those to just mentally calm yourself down.
Is this, so when you say you've got physical and mental ways to minimize that, are you saying to use whatever works or use both in tandem or?
Whatever works. Whatever. So yeah.
This is one of those times like where you're saying like, now you're saying like, if someone doesn't like it, or it's like, I have like, they're using fear, like I hate feeling fearful.
Mm-hmm.
It irks me.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm looking at that, I'm like, I'd probably prefer the physical
Yep.
than the mental.
Yeah. Yeah. Do what works for you, man.
Okay.
Yeah. But my question to you is, why do you label fear as a bad thing?
So probably the same way people label aggression as a bad thing. I think fear is like weakness.
It makes us feel weak, right? When you're fearful of something. But as an evolution point of view, why do we have fear? It keeps you alive, okay? It keeps you alive. So you would be fearful if you saw your kid crossing the road without turning his head. Oh my God, my kid's gonna cross the road without checking. That's a fearful feeling, right? You would use that as a signal to be like, oi, turn your head. I taught you better, right? So fear as a signal can be detrimental, but if we're able to just accept that it's a very human part of our existence, then what's wrong with it? You know? It's probably good to be fearful of your marriage not working out. It's probably a good thing because then you understand, okay, how do I make this better? Right? It's not a bad. So from my perspective, fear can be good, can be bad. You just choose. Yeah. Okay, now practice. So we had 1 minute of increasing the aggression, and then now you can do the opposite. So we're going to do 30 seconds where you're going to raise your aggression, breathe, think about something fucked up, use that feeling to raise yourself in aggression, and then When I say time, you're going to do the opposite. Slow breathing, imagine something that makes you feel weak, and let it come down. Got it? Okay, go. Sorry guys, go. 30 seconds of being aggressive. And now you're going to switch. Turn it down. Slow down your breathing. Imagine either a loved one or something you fear. Relax your entire body. And stop there. Okay, who was able to kind of see how quickly you're able to come down just by imagining something shitty? Yeah, like feeling the guilt or feeling the fear of something, straight down. Yeah? Okay. All right, so many of us understand the dangers of physical aggression, right? In most contexts, it's inappropriate. In some contexts, it's appropriate. We don't have to go through that. But it doesn't mean that displays of aggression aren't important. Okay? You need to display aggression to protect your boundaries. You need to do it where the recipient feels safe, but maybe uncomfortable. And what I've observed through my coaching career is a lot of you guys, not you guys in particular, but a lot of guys don't have a script. They're like, oh, I want to say something, but I don't have the words. I want to have the words, but I don't have the words, right? So I'm going to go through that today. But I'm also going to quickly talk about how aggression isn't just physical. In psychological science, one aggression tactic is called reputation destruction, which is you don't like a person, non-confrontational, but I'm going to spread shit about you. Like, Reese, I don't like you. When you're going to the bathroom, everyone here, guys, you know what? Reese is a pussy. That's called reputation destruction. That's still aggression. So just because somebody isn't yelling or he's not hitting anything doesn't mean that they're not being aggressive. I could be aggressive in the office by spreading shit about you in the kitchen. That still happens, right? So people only think aggression is violence. No, it's not. I can be aggressive behind your back. I can kill your reputation. I might when Gary goes to the bathroom, I might slip a pill in his drink. That's still aggression. You know what I mean? Okay, so if you want to display aggression, physically, you can do a lot just by changing how you stand or sit. Number one, if you have open, wide, in front of somebody body language, automatically they will feel some level of discomfort unless it's like in a romantic setting. Okay? Now, even though you know me, Mark, if I stood just right in front of you like this, and I'm just here looking into your eyes, you feel something. Because I've stepped into his boundary, and this is almost like a challenging position, right? It's up to him whether he wants to meet me, but if you do that to most people, they will, if you hold that position to most people, you will see them like look away, or they will kind of turn their body. Okay? Verbal, you can yell at someone, not recommended, looks terrible. But you can also change your tonality, your word, and your word choice, right? So this is what I want you guys, I'm going to give you examples. Some of you guys already have this, but for the guys who don't, if you are aware of how your voice and your word choice comes out, you can directly change how the other person receives your message. If you have downward inflection with silence, it's a very firm boom. Here's what I'm saying, challenge me or not. Right? So to give you an example, if I just say, I'm not going to do that, and I say a downward inflection, so my tone's going down, I will say something like, I'm not going to do that. And I wait. You get the message. He's firm. But if I go with an upward tone, I'm not going to do that, it's a little bit weaker. You can feel the difference. Same words. The less words you use, the more powerful you come across. If somebody says, no, versus, oh, no, I'm not going to, you can tell the difference between the strength of those words. I just say, no. That's it. I give them silence. Firm boundary. Then you look at each other awkwardly for a bit. So what? Tension. Okay. So be it. And anybody who's ever had tense conversations, that silence is literally the boundaries doing this. And usually the first person to start talking, they're the ones who can't handle the tension. Right? So the less words you use, the more powerful you come across. Downward inflection, less words. Last one. This is, I think it changed Mike and Kenny's world. You words. Okay? The pronoun, or is it a pronoun? I don't know. It creates personal tension. Let me give you an example. So let's just say Reese comes up to me and he says, hey Phil, I have an idea. I'm going to run this by my athletes yelling. I'm going to teach them how to yell. Okay? His word is, I have an idea. I'm going to teach them something. He's already attached me, himself, to the idea, I. And then I'm going to say to him, Reese, your idea is shit. Okay, now, most people don't think about this, but by me saying, Reese, you have a terrible idea, I'm associating the idea with him as a person. But if I just said to Reese, the idea could be improved. The idea could be improved. I've changed how it comes across because now I'm talking about the idea. I'm not talking about Reese. It's not you I'm talking to. I'm talking about the idea. Does that make sense? So when I want to make something a bit more tense, a bit more personal, I will just use you words. You're not going to get me to do that. You are not going to get me to do that. Very different to me saying, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to versus you are not going to make me. Different. If you want to make someone feel tension, accuse them. You. If you want to keep the peace, don't say you that much. Okay? You can use I or just the or that. In relationships, look, I'm single, so I can't give you guys relationship advice. But sometimes, if you guys are in an argument and she accuses you of you didn't do the dishes, and then you maybe go back and you're like, you don't ever do this, you don't. If you guys just change the subject, instead of saying you, if she had said to you, oh, the dishes haven't been done, the dishes haven't been done, the way you receive that is very different to if she said, you haven't done the dishes again. Incredibly different. Same thing for you. The tone is, if you want to say, your tone to me right now is making me uncomfortable, instead of saying, you are speaking to me uncomfortably, you can say something like, the tone is making me uncomfortable. The tone is making me uncomfortable. And they're like, oh, different. Hard, but different. Okay, any comments on that? You got a miso? Yeah. 11 years? Yeah. Congrats, bro.
Well, now you can say the dishes didn't do themselves.
Yeah. All right. So this is like my script. You can have many of your own, right? But I use this in many times in my life with the same thing, downward inflection, and it just works. Okay. Professionally, in not relationships, dates, it just works. Okay. So if somebody is pissing me off, I will say something like, "This is irritating me," because. But just me saying that, they're like, "Ooh, Phil's getting pissed." Second, this is making me angry because. This is starting to anger me because. 3, I don't agree. That gets me into quite a few confrontations, but it is what it is. I don't agree. 4, I'm not doing that. I'm not saying that, I'm not doing that. Then you just wait. See what they say. I don't want to. I don't want to. That's it. Right? Last one, like fuck off basically, leave me alone. Then you just wait. What are they going to do? Leave me alone. That's it. Very easy. So practical. You guys are partners, yeah? So you're going to practice saying this, but at the end, remember, just have a downward inflection. Not because, say because. It's not agree, it's agree. Just practice along your partner. And partners, you give them a bit of feedback. Oh yeah, that sounded like you didn't want to do it. That felt firm, or that was a bit weak, right? So we'll take 2 minutes to do this. Take turns, 1 phrase each. Let's go. Just whoever's next to you. Huh? Yeah, you can if you want to. Yeah, you can. Use an example from your own life. Sorry? 1 for 1. Yeah. Well, you gotta give him more, Rob, you know? It's too nice. No, we can't be nice, not all the time.
I've got to be aggressive.
Yeah, come on, Kenny, give us. Let's go, Rob. Let's go, Rob. I'll give him some. Okay, guys, finish off the last one. Jeez. Okay. All right. All right, bring her back. Yeah. All right, guys, bring her back. So, even though that's just practice, right? Even though it's practice, no pressure. Sometimes it feels incredibly awkward to just hold that space, that tension. right? The tension is extremely necessary. We have to get better at holding tension. If you can't hold the tension, like think about that graph, little image I showed you. If you can't hold the tension, then whoever holds it better is just going to push you over. Okay? You can be a quiet person but still hold tension really well. Like you can be a soft-spoken person and be like, I'm not doing that. That's it. You don't need to be very like verbose or anything. I'm not doing that. Like you don't have to do any of that. You just have to say what you got to say with clarity and then hold. There's nothing else. And that is you displaying aggression because it comes from that place of defense. No, I'm not doing that. That comes from this place. But the person receiving it, they're not unsafe, right? They're maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but they're not in any way, shape, or form unsafe. And then you want to explode in the future because you've already made your point from the very beginning. Many times people explode because they keep going, oh no, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, until it gets to the point where you're like, fuck! Then you explode. And that's when you have an aggression problem because you haven't been able to just say it in the beginning. I'm not doing that, not doing that. No. In the beginning, when you feel it, it's a response, it's a signal that something is happening and you need to defend yourself or defend an idea or think about the idea. The longer you leave it, the more it's going to build. Eventually, you might explode. We don't want that. Ever. Okay, so before we conclude, in the beginning, I gave you guys a workshop brief. The offer that I have for all of you guys in here is if you want to do the men's high performance camp, normally out to market it's 2100 plus GST. For you guys it's 1800 plus GST. If you want to do the habit challenge, it's 1600 for 8 weeks plus GST normally, but if you guys want to do it as part of this group, you get 1200 plus GST. If you want to talk about it more with me, you can come during the break or just message me on email or Instagram. Okay, final word. Aggression is a necessary emotion in everyday life. Please do not throw away your aggressive self. Okay, we need this. If you want to go forward in your life, focus on your career, focus on building a business, be great at the things you do, and you're afraid, it's because you haven't channeled your aggression. You need it. We all need it. Okay, I'd rather have my mates around me who are capable of aggression, because if push comes to shove and we need to hustle for 5 hours, 6 hours straight, I need you guys to bring that out because I'm going to need that from you. Okay? It's not inherently a bad emotion, but it can be. Depends on how you use it. It's our job to learn how to control and use it. Control meaning we can turn it off when we want to. We can amplify it when we want to. We are in control. Okay? It's not in control of us. And if you avoid your aggression, it's simply going to make things worse. You're going to explode one day or implode one day. And that's it for me, guys. Thank you very much.